is nothing wrong with your radio.
Do not attempt to adjust the volume.
We are controlling the broadcast.
For the next hour we will control all that you hear.
You are about to experience the knowledge and insights of the Media Mothership.
All right, you're listening to Edge Radio 99.3 FM. This is now the Media Mothership here on these beautiful waveforms, these beautiful FM waveforms, or digital, if we're going digital. And of course, I am your host, Dr. Craig, joined as always by Taylor Lord.
Okay.
How are you?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yes, and as we do each week, we explore how media can shape our understanding of the world around us. And we're streaming as on edgeradio.org.au, YouTube, and Twitch. You can message us to comment about all the controversial material on the show via SMS at 04888 11707, or you can drop us a chat.
Drop us a
message,
yeah.
On the Facebook, no, not Facebook, YouTube or Twitch stream.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm not looking at Facebook today, or rarely ever. Okay, so in today's show, we're going to get through some news, and then we're going to explore the topic of what we can learn from old radio show introductions.
Yeah.
Much like we did last week. Taylor is, as always, going to be doing the mixing desk for music. Yeah. So I will point to you. So yeah, keep listening, all that and more on Media Mothership.
Okay. So I'll play a song now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me just explain it first. So
you.
these little clips that you'll hear are songs that I've been making excerpts from songs that I've been making for the past 20 or so years. So yeah.
Wow. So it's a bit of an archive.
Yeah, and so some of them are really bad, but I think they fit with the ethos of Media Mothership.
Which is not bad ethos.
But because it's sort of alien sounding.
Yeah, perfect. All right, well, let's get one of these babies going.
Yeah.
And you're listening to Media Mothership. That was very smooth.
Yeah, it was called Cyberman, that song.
Ah, okay, yeah. How did you put that one together? What software did you use?
Oh, yeah, FL Studio. Fruity Loops, yeah.
L Studios.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Cyberman. First show, actually, a very good segue, is that the British Film Board has turned to AI to help spot bad language, sex, and violence.
Just in the street, or...?
That'll be interesting, very kind of surveillance device oriented. But no, this is in media, movies, television. So a few weeks back, we mentioned how Australia is revamping its classification blurbs, so those text we see next to the MA15+, extreme violence and so forth. They're adding new contextual ones to this. Well, continuing that idea of countries continuing to rejig their classification schemes, the British board has just done away with humans, it seems, and gone straight into AI. So what they're doing is they're entering into a partnership with Amazon, of all companies, to use artificial intelligence to identify and tag content issues such as bad language, sex, violence, and so forth on films and video. So the article in The Guardian goes on to say that the aim's to save time and money for the board and streaming services, and they list a number of examples of the kind of onerous experiences some of their classification board has had to sit through. There was like this 10-hour paint drying video piece that they watched.
Apparently it's called paint drying, and it's was a 310 gigabyte video file and had to be assessed over 2 consecutive days.
Yeah. So based on those types of experiences, they've turned to AI with the hope that it's going to provide hopefully useful guidance for classifying. Was the paint drying actually, containing some material that would make it 18 plus? Who knows? Unless you sat through and watched every single moment of it.
Exactly.
So the article mentions some of the challenges this will inevitably face, such as the requirements to teach the AI first how to recognize these complex categories and how to deal with really unusual submissions like the one we just talked about, the 10-hour paint drying film. It's interesting because one of the activities sometimes in media studies you do is a bit of content analysis where you'll watch a violent scene. It could be Dirty Harry, classic Clint Eastwood late 70s film, or a Roadrunner cartoon, and they have to count, violent acts. And that always inevitably creates debate around what is the weight of that violence contextually.
An Acme 10-ton weight.
Yeah. It looks, if you're coding it on paper, violent acts are 18 plus classification because it's death, dismemberment, murder, and so forth. Yet it's a cartoon. And so contextually, that gets them placed in a children's audience. So again, there are all these questions around how it's going to get trained to make distinctions like that and the shortcomings of using content analysis in that way. What do you think? I mean, you've trained AI before. Did you let it loose on classifying films and TV, Taylor?
No, not really. I just think it's an imperfect form or format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are
oh, there we go, squeaking your mic there.
That was the AI sound effect.
No, but the potential repercussions for it not catching something could be too disastrous.
Yeah, because you could quickly have errors coming in at both ends, like adult material that's not being picked up and coded as child-friendly, and child-friendly material getting coded R18+, absolutely destroying the audience that could have had that material. Oh, yeah.
I mean, with the paint drying one, for example, you could do something like that in terms of set the AI to look for sort of like the paint drying on the wall, and if anything else comes in to shot or changes the shot, then that's when it gets flagged. But then it still should be a human member which goes through and sees it.
Yeah, look, yeah, and that's a kind of collaborative hybrid approach where humans and AI will, because the headline of this is that AIs are going to do it all. Obviously, that's not the case. There would still be, as they're training it, a lot of human overview. But also the other headache being, the difficulty of understanding how it's trained, right? I mean, I imagine here the British board is going to know what they're training the AI with. But I always remember there was that one article talking about how one of the beta testers for the Bing AI chat, I think, or one of the chatbots, queried the experience by saying, hey, your AI bot, asked me to divorce my wife and marry it. How did that occur? And they said, we don't know because the training of it has been so, Internet of Things based that they it's impossible for them to loop it back. And then the moments where there has been revelations of where that training has come from have always been kind of accidental, like the revelations of how what was it, the Gettysburg gets Getty Images. Getty Images. It's been revealed that some of the image processing AI were trained on that, and the reason they found that out was because the Getty image watermark began to appear on certain prompts that were asked of it. So clearly, there are moments where the AI, despite the best efforts probably of its creators to obscure the copyrightness of those links, still reveals it like that. So it's still a messy space, and that issue of training it is definitely one of it. Let's go to a next sting as we go to the next article.
Okay.
All right. You're welcome to Media Mothership. I found that one. Yeah, groovy.
Yeah, it's called I Don't Like Your Hat.
Oh.
That is literally what it's called. It's not because you're wearing a hat. right now.
For those people that are following on the live stream, I wear hats, and it's always worth following the live stream to see what hat I'm wearing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yep, today it's Resident Evil, the Umbrella organization.
I thought it was the Umbrella Academy.
No, equally good reference. Thank you, Taylor, for that. Is that like, would you call that techno pop, dance pop, techno?
Yeah, something like that,
Okay.
like electro.
Nice. So the next article is from The Conversation, talking about generative AI is a minefield for copyright law, and kind of covers what we just talked about. But I want to speak specifically to the example they refer to. So they talk about this art competition where it led to this very heated backlash online because the winner of the competition used AI to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the tweet in the article. It's this tweet from Kevin Roos, who interviewed the winner, Jason Allen, who submitted the AI-generated piece, unbeknownst to the Colorado State Fair, which went on to win full prize. And his quote is, "Art is dead, dude. It's over. AI won. Humans lost." Which immediately made me think this kid is like 13 who won it, and it's this amazingly luscious, painting in the kind of Renaissance tradition. It's kind of surreal. It's a really cool picture.
It is a cool picture, but to anyone that knows anything about Mid-Journey or just AI created art, it's instantly you can tell that that's Mid-Journey. Specifically Mid-Journey. It's not DALL-E, it's not anything else.
What's the clues?
It's just the way that it looks. Because
well, there's no hands. I mean, I always look at hands immediately. How do the hands look? Because that's such an obvious tell. This one has very, very wisely not featured people with hands. So it's we can't see the picture.
Yeah, stuck behind a paywall.
But well, I guess it is for me. I guess some of the tells offhand could be the kind of hybridness of it. Like it's a bit of a mishmash of objects and styles. It has overall that painterly quality, so you could tell that was specific prompts there. And then it has a kind of sci-fi aspect to it, a kind of portal into another world with a Geiger kind of portal.
It just looks like every other Mid-Journey picture I've ever seen.
Well, I think as people get more familiar with the types of typical art that's generated by prompts, I think that could become more and more noticeable. But at the moment, it's the Wild West for competitions. It's really the sense that you could walk away because there's already the big photography prize.
Oh yeah,
I think European photography prize, which won from an AI piece. So yeah, I mean these things are a bit groan-worthy increasingly. Like this is the second reported incident. So but that I just wanted to bring people's attention to that piece from this very interesting article. It goes on to discuss more things around legal and ethical issues, but I'll put a link in the show notes. So let's go to a sting, and I'll bring the next article up. Hey, is that kind of well?
Yeah. What about it?
In reverse? It seemed like the music was played in reverse.
Oh,
slightly.
This is a song that
remember?
Was probably like 2016.
That's a good year.
So I don't think it was in reverse. I think it was just a synth.
Synth.
But you had to set it like a couple of seconds before it was going to start, so it could have that lead in part.
Yeah, I liked it. It had that kind of radio meets aliens vibe. I'm gonna get t-shirts, mate. All right, so the next article from ABC News, continuing the AI vibe, Paul McCartney says, final Beatles record out.
Beatles.
Beatles. That's how you pronounce it over there. Beatles. This year, aided by AI. So Paul McCartney has said that this final track has been released with the help of artificial intelligence. Record is based on a demo that McCartney and John Lennon worked on, which was McCartney was given by Yoko Ono back in 1994, and the song originally was composed back in 1978 by John Lennon from a composition called Now and Then, which was previously abandoned as a kind of, being able to bring it back as a music piece because it had too much background noise.
Mm-hmm.
But the article goes on to talk about how AI was used to separate Lennon's voice and a piano in the demo, allowing McCartney to finish the song. And there's a quote here from McCartney saying, AI is kind of scary. I'm not going to do the accent. Kind of scary, but exciting because it's the future.
Yeah.
Are you excited or skeptical about this final Beatles record?
As someone who has despised everything that the Beatles ever made,
Wow, I had no idea the Beatles were so polarizing. I've met two people who just flat out say, don't say that band's name in front of me.
look, I worked in a what's it called? A place where you
Sanity?
no.
I'm trying to think of a mainstream record company or something.
No, it's a
music
volunteer shop.
Okay, yeah. Like Salvation Armies or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. And they only had one CD, and they played it every single day, and it was the
That's
Beatles
great.
collection.
You'd imagine a kind of recycle shop would be full of CDs that people are recycling, really, but they only had one that was in the CD player or something.
Yeah,
or
that's sort of like
seriously,
the-
what was it again? It was a Beatles CD.
It was like the collection of the Beatles or something like that. And there was 3
Wow.
CDs, and you cycled through all of them. It was their greatest
Wow.
hits. And so I hate all
Yeah.
of their greatest hits.
And that psychologically would be a like a memory association thing, right? Like you didn't really enjoy that job,
It was all right. I didn't mind volunteering there.
but still that kind of repetitive kind of like, oh, when am I finishing? And the
She
Beatles
Loves
are in the
You,
background.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
that. So yeah, at a professional level, are you skeptical that this could be pulled off and be commercial, or do you think
No, I think it would easily be commercial.
because it's the Beatles?
From having a look at the what was it called, Jukebox AI, you can feed in a style and you can feed in words, and it can have Johnny Cash singing you the "I'm blue
Yes.
dubba dee dubba die,"
Yeah.
and it sounds
That'd
perfect.
be good. That'd be good.
So yeah,
Well, for those on the SMS line or on chat, how do you think John Lennon would feel about an AI being used to finish his song?
yeah, and right in his accent as well.
Yeah, right, in his accent. All right, let's go to the next news story.
The
with some
next.
music. Oh, I'm showing my humanness.
Okay.
Yeah, I could get behind that one.
Yeah, good.
That's kind of almost piano-like
Mm-hmm.
in its. Is it called a melody?
Yes. Well, I assume you're talking about the melody.
A kind of. You could sample that later if you'd like.
Okay.
That's pretty smooth. Yeah, no, I liked it. For some reason, I was thinking of Clockwork Orange and the scene where the Alex character goes into shop for records, and there's the kind of synth version of Brahms' Ninth Symphony playing. That's what I thought. So that's high praise.
Oh, thanks.
Up there with Brahms' Ninth Symphony. Clockwork Orange version synth.
Okay.
All
I'll have to
right.
watch it.
Next article is from Gizmondo talking about how chatbots have stolen fan fiction from the gift culture. Do we have yeah, we have to get like kind of like a bum bum bum. I'll do it.
We've got a text.
Oh, great. Yeah, thank you, Texter. Loving the jingles, exclamation mark. Also, I hope that John would be happy that people get to hear the song so many years on.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Look, it's like when I think to combat my perfectionism, that ultimately better out. Well, actually, no. The quote I'm going to give is someone giving me advice about, food poisoning. Better out than in.
Okay.
Is their advice? But in this sense, yeah, perfectionism. I mean, it's great to get something out, and certainly for John Lennon, and I'm a Beatles tragic, so I'd look forward to any new material.
That's good.
Thank you, Texter. That's fantastic. Okay, so next article, SMS. Sorry, it's not an SMS. It's an article. Gizmondo. So chatbots have stolen fan fiction from gift culture. And again, this is talking about that point I made earlier that there are moments of tells that people are picking up where people have created content for various spaces, Getty's Images, or in this case, fan fiction writers, are getting senses of their work being used to train some of these pieces. So this is just talking about a fan fiction writer who is annoyed at the revelation that clearly the fan fiction space she was submitting to has been revealed as this, because that's right. The reason the tell was for this fan fiction space was that they managed to get certain prompts, which basically got the chatbot to write an Omegaverse article. And I'm not going to go into what the Omegaverse is. There's a great Lindsay Ellis YouTube video talking about the Omegaverse. But basically, it's a genre of writing which has only existed within this specific fanfiction world with specific rules and guidelines.
Okay.
Right? So the fact that not only did this chatbot create an Omegaverse piece, but also it abided by and referenced specific rules and guidelines that only inhabit that particular fan fiction website.
Right, okay.
So busted totally. And it's then talking about the kind of frustration and disrespectfulness and exploitativeness of these practices. Given it's a gift economy, right? You're giving and sharing within this fan fiction space, all for non-financial gain. Yet, these kind of predatory, I guess, commercial practices. Yeah, these are chatbot creation enterprises which are going to harvest this data to then sell a product with. Right. So again, that frustration of what it means legally and ethically for people that have authored, owned, and created these fair use pieces to then have them exploited in this way. I mean, it's a bit of a bind because you also have that narrative of transformative work within fair use, and transformative work means you've been able to create an object using a kind of copyrighted piece of work, but it's transformed to such a degree that it no longer replaces it, right? So, if you wanted to get a picture of Marilyn Monroe, for instance, you would go for a photo of Marilyn Monroe. But some people might say that Andy Warhol's picture of Marilyn Monroe, or Elvis, has kind of replaced those photos. So, that question of those Andy Warhol pictures could be considered transformative use because those photos of Elvis and Marilyn Monroe exist separately to the transformative kind of artistic work that was created. Yeah. So you could say equally that the fan fiction the chatbot creators are taking that material but using transformative practices so that it's so far away from the original that it's no longer the original.
The issue that I can see with the article that's here is that you've got the sharing culture of fan fiction, right?
Yes.
And then you've got the scraper, which has scraped the website, taken the writing off the website, and is also offering it for free. And then you've got the people that make the AIs and the bots, and they take that free scraping and turn it into a paid-for thing. So that is where the issue lies, not with the scraping of the website.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I would like to be asked permission, possibly. I mean, there's a moral objection there, right? Like, you wouldn't have knowingly created this piece. I mean, and it's possibly meaning, some of these websites will have to have provisos now saying this material can't be used for training.
I suppose, but anything on the internet can be scraped.
Yeah.
By definition, if it's accessible.
Well, yeah, as we're finding out with the image creation products and text creation products, those have been released in a nearly finished state because of the amount of training they went through via scraping massive amounts of
unless it's you can only access it through a sign up. So these places need to have sign up things and not have like APIs which can then query the data and stuff. Which
is probably maybe where we're headed. I should get a walled community around Media Mothership. Do you read or write fan fiction?
No.
Have you ever?
Yes. I've written it. About people I know at school.
Oh, wow.
When I was in grade 7 to
really?
8, yeah.
You read a fan fiction about real people in your school?
Yeah.
Wow, man.
It was funny.
Close to defamation.
It was really funny. It was a comedy.
So did it get out? People started to read it and...
I'd write it every week, and then everyone in my friendship group would sit around and listen to it.
Wow. Yeah. And if you're in on the joke, it'd be funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Looking back at it now, it's horrible.
Well, feel free to bring any of it onto the show.
That's never going anywhere.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the next jingle.
Let's go for...
Nice. Yeah, that's could almost talk over the top of it. It's a nice kind of almost background piece.
Yeah, it's called Snow Prints on Concrete.
Snow prints.
Yeah, like footprints.
On concrete. Yeah. But, prints, Prints.
Yes.
Yep. I thought it was Prince.
Yeah.
Prince. And I was thinking, snow prints on concrete. Wow, did he splatter falling from a great height? Because it didn't seem like the soundscape for that.
No.
But maybe it was mercy for him to pass away in that way.
Okay.
Sorry, that wasn't at all the sound. It was Prince, someone walking. Yeah, that's really nice. All right, next article is from Sora News 24 talking about AI being used to write a new chapter in the God of Manga's series Blackjack. This is Osamu Tezuka. So one of the great post-war manga creators passed away a long time ago now, 80s, I think he passed away. One of his really well-known pieces, Blackjack, telling the story of a surgeon. It turns out there's going to be new chapters written via an AI. And this is a collaboration between, joint efforts between Tezuka Productions and Satoshi Kurihara, a professor at Keio University.
Did he, the fellow that drew it, did he have anything to do with Astro Boy?
Astro Boy, he did indeed. Tezuka is the creator of Astro Boy, Tetsuwan Atom.
So that gives you an idea of what the art looks like.
Yeah, it's very much that 1950s anime, and Tezuka is considered like the godfather of manga. He created some of the most well-known, most cherished classic anime manga figures in the 50s and into the 60s. Many of which were globalized and spread around the world.
What's another one other than Astro Boy then?
Jungle Taite? Kimber the White Line in English.
Oh, right, okay.
Jungle Taite. My wife always jokes to me that when I first tried to say the Japanese version of it, Jungle Taite, I said Jungle Taisho. And Taisho is middle management. Of company. So it was like, the middle manager of the jungle. She thought it was the funniest thing ever. Yeah. So I always have to hesitate And it's like, as a jungle, tight there. Not Taisho. So Kim of the White Line. He did a gender bending one, Kibino, something. Set in Marie Antoinette period. I think it's Marie Antoinette. A girl that puts on a musketeer's clothing to fight.
Okay.
So they're doing an AI version of Blackjack now, which, it's getting some coverage as to whether this will bring back, an is it authentic Tezuka-style Blackjack? I mean, Blackjack has had various versions since the original, but interesting to see, almost as a marketing thing, but it's interesting it's a professor from a university that they're joining with, right? Media Mothership services are available. We have great track record with the Harry Potter and the Exploding Pumpkins.
Yeah.
And Sherlock Holmes and the Santa one. I forget what that one was called, but yeah. So a great track record.
Yeah.
Here's a question for the chat. If you could bring a fictional character back with AI, who would you choose and why? Would you choose any? Like, would you like AI to come and create the next chapter of something? I mean, humans can do it, but if you could bring a professor from a Japanese university into it with this AI box.
Oh, I can't think of anything apart from Sherlock Holmes. We've already done that, and it was already great. So
exactly. All right, let's go to a jingle. Last news story.
Oh, it's the last one. We're going for something hard then.
Okay. Wow. Yes. It was hard. It had a driving beat to it. What's that one called?
Drones of Halloween.
Oh, Drones of Halloween. Is there a story behind the creation of that?
Yeah, that was I did it for it was like a competition, and because that's a game. Drones of Halloween is like a game, and they wanted people to write the trailer music for it.
Did you submit it?
Yeah.
Great.
No response.
Well, I'm so glad it could be part of Media Mothership.
Excellent.
Which I think is a great runner-up prize. Okay, this next article is from Anime News Network talking about how the Ultraman franchise is expanding its licensing program, and it's revealing the series' new English dubs on its YouTube channel and a Marvel comic book crossover. Do you know Ultraman?
I've seen pictures of it, if that's it. The thing with the white and red on it, and sort of looks a bit like a Power Ranger, I guess.
Very much so, yeah. So it's part of that kind of what could be called Japanese superhero space, a la Power Rangers. Ultraman is very much the progenitor of it. He's very much a kind of, ground zero figure in terms of that genre of Japanese superheroes. What I love about Ultraman is occasionally Westerners will come across these images of the crucifixion of Ultraman and 2 or 3 other Ultramen as well. Okay. It's a famous episode which involved their crucifixion. And so even today you can get figures, crucified Ultraman figures, and it's greatly confusing for Westerners who decode that according to Christian semiotics.
Yeah.
Yet the use of it diegetically isn't a reference to Christianity and Jesus. It's the fact that crucifixion was actually introduced into Japan as Westernization was occurring, as a form of
punishment.
Tokugawa period, as punishment, as much like the Romans did to punish people. Often, sometimes it was during the clampdown of Christianity in Japan, where they were crucified. And so, the use of crucifixion is as a torture for the Ultraman characters. But unpacking that from a Western, Judeo-Christian space can't but place a religious iconography within it. So it's a deeply, deeply rich semiotic space. We'll go into it in more depth in a future show. But this is talking about how, Ultraman, which is like gosh, 60s, I think it began. So it's finally having a bit of Western crossover, and it's gained a little bit of traction these days through Netflix. So it's an interesting franchise which never established it outside Asia. Power Rangers certainly did break through. Kamen Rider, another kind of masked hero series, struggled to find an audience. Yeah. So, yeah. I thought it was interesting, Ultraman, Japanese pop culture superheroes, crossing over with American superheroes and Marvel Entertainment.
Yeah.
We'll see if it works.
Hopefully it should.
Yeah. All right, now we're going to a hard break to set up the next topic.
Okay.
So do you have an appropriate music piece, jingle, for changing gears?
Changing gears.
So we're moving from news now into our topic, which is what can we learn from old radio show introductions. And we've got an SMS.
Oh,
Yeah. Do you want to read what the SMS says?
of course. I'd love AI to generate more Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy stories, and another chapter in Marvel's Agent Carter would be nice too, even if it doesn't get made into a TV series.
And I think that's one of the things about possibly having second or third lives to a franchise, where you can move it into a slightly less expensive platform into a cheaper platform like comic books or radio drama. And it could happen. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is fascinating. The thing I like about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is that each iteration of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the BBC radio drama, the original books. Well, I think the radio drama came first, then the books, and then of course we've had since then the movie. Is that each one does a subtle and maybe sometimes not so subtle change to some of the DNA of it. So, for instance, the casting of Ford Prefect in the movie was for a black actor, which many people kind of lost it and said, well, no, it's so established that it's a white actor from the TV show and the radio drama, and the sense that, no, it's a permutation. It's like a multiplicity of variation. Each one will have a slightly different weighting. So even the movie decenters the main character somewhat. So in the radio drama, it's the human for Arthur Dent. Is that the name of
the name of the main
human?
character? Yeah.
Is kind of the central character. Yeah, in the movie, it shifted to more Ford Prefect, I'd say. So yeah, even that kind of, who the main character is slightly shifts and orients. So yeah, it'd be interesting if a different version of that. I mean, Douglas Adams was always famous for when he was interviewed, talking about why the fan backlash against some of the casting choices and the story choices in the movie version would always say, no, it's all about multiplicity. It's all about, decentering and changing.
Yeah, I'd be up for any more Douglas Adams. He wrote the best episodes of Doctor Who, for example.
Yeah. This is the Tom Baker period?
Yeah, around about then, yeah.
You got
because
the title?
he was the he was like basically the showrunner for the sort of like the most famous Tom Baker episodes.
Yeah, I forget about some of those Douglas Adams involvements. Well, we'll have to look into that in the future.
Yeah, and in Doctor Who, he formed up with a couple of other writers, and they all wrote under the name David Agnew. So if you see anything in classic Doctor Who that says David Agnew, it's not a person, it's all of the writers for the show.
Yes. And it's not that they were embarrassed by it. I wonder why they did that. I imagine it wasn't because they were embarrassed to be connected to it. Because it may have been. I mean, Doctor Who was notorious for having a very limited budget. Well, thank you, SMSer. Now, as I said, the changing gears. So last week we did number 10 of the best old-time radio shows ever. This is from Jeff Jorgensen's list. So we're moving into number 9, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into it. But we'll set it up through Jeff Jorgensen's analysis. So Jeff Jorgensen is a voiceover artist as well. So here he is. He's introducing the number 9, which we'll be investigating on the show now.
Number 9, The Fat Man.
A bit loud.
Sorry.
I can't resist the description of a mysterious man walking into a drugstore to check his weight on a penny scale and getting a fortune card that reads, Danger. The Fat Man was Private Detective Brad Runyon, and the audience knew right away from the intro that he was big and was going to be dealing with trouble.
There he goes into that drugstore. He's stepping on the scales.
Weight 239 pounds. Fortune, danger.
Who is it?
The Fat Man.
All right, yeah. So, and obviously the title, The Fat Man, such a loaded term and very much is one which you could say has dated really badly in terms of I couldn't imagine a title like that existing today. But what's interesting digging into the Fat Man show a little bit is that it's created, or at least attributed to, there's some dispute as to how much involvement he had in it, to Dashiell Hammett, who's the author of a really well-known detective piece called The Thin Man. It does sound... Yeah, a little funny actually pointing that out. But yeah, so the Fat Man is a kind of development on from the Thin Man. And what's intriguing about it is that, I guess it's kind of playing against type. So you hear the Fat Man and associations, like negative derogatory associations of overweight is kind of lazy, unproductive, all these negatives, which is why this term is dated so badly and would be highly problematic to use today because of its associations as being an insult, mocking someone and so forth. But interestingly, yeah, if you listen to some episodes, which I've been enjoying, it's a detective drama, and the Fat Man is this detective who is shown to be, the opposite of all of those derogatory associations, that, he's highly intelligent, productive, really physical. Often there's gunfights and a bit of biffo in it. So it does kind of challenge that negative association, and is a very endearing character. And yeah, the Fat Man, it turns out, was a really popular radio drama. In fact, so popular, I hadn't realized this, but there's an Australian version of it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, from 1954 to 55.
Also a radio...
Yep. Also a radio drama. There was the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Sorry, it's a Wikipedia article, I'll confess. Produced 52 episodes. So the ABC produced 52 episodes back in 54, and it was then syndicated around Australia and elsewhere. I don't know if it reached the US, but certainly people in the US know of it. The main character, the Fat Man, whose name is Brad Runyon, was played by the New Zealand actor Lloyd Beryl, and if you listen to them, they're done with American voices, so there's no Australianness to it in terms of it's not like it's King's Cross, Sydney.
Is it Australians putting on American voices though?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's still in that US setting. And there was also a film by William Castle. And long-time listeners of Media Mothership will know we did a 6-month analysis of 5-minute pieces of William Castle's famous film, The House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price. So yeah, William Castle also did the 1951 movie The Fat Man of this radio play. So yeah, it's a really interesting and rich piece. It's a lot of fun to listen to. I'll play. I've got an excerpt of the Fat Man. I want to play a little bit longer of, because as we were talking about, one of the things that we're looking at is how introductions can be crafted. So in previous sections, we've talked about. Oh, I should have a simpler list than what I've put here. But anyway, you've got to hook the listener's attention. So it should last only about 10 seconds or so, which I think that wasn't too long.
No.
It should include voice, music, sound effects, and episode information. So we had voice. Mm-hmm. So the setup is...
look at him going into the drugstore.
That's right. So again, very much that mocking, derogatory tone of the narrator saying he's watching this fat guy go into the drugstore to weigh himself. He weighs himself, and then the tagline is, it's what is it? It's he weighs X number of pounds.
Yeah.
And diagnosis murder.
Yeah,
There's some phrase. We'll listen to it again. Then there's music and sound effects. There's certainly the sound effects of the scale. There's music, and then it kind of sets up that this is the episode. So how did you think about it? Do you think that excerpt you had established genre? Did you get the feeling it was a detective show?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Characters.
Well, the Fat Man, obviously.
Yes. All right. Well, look, we'll listen to a slightly longer piece. Oh, I've got to cue it up.
Refreshing Media Mothership and feel the difference.
There he goes. Yeah, there we go. There's a lot of things here. Oh, hold on. This is... Oh, sorry.
Just unplug it.
No. Okay, hold on. Is this going to play? Yeah, here we go. All right, I got to fast forward a bit. Too bad.
To the memories, the all-pervasive ghosts of Washington.
I can tell.
But for those of us who too brings history to life.
All right.
Tonight
So
on
this is from a radio piece of the Fat Man, and what I want us to listen to is can we get the genre and tone from this? What are the characters? How is voice used, music and sound effect used?
You see.
So he's setting it up.
There he goes. He's stepping on the scale. Weight, 237 pounds. Fortune, danger. Who is it?
Brad Runyon, the Fat Man. Crime, like death and taxes, is always with us. As long as there are crooked politicians and ambitious racket guys, the answer will be graft. If rich women continue to be careless with their jewels, there'll be headline robberies. And until somebody can change human nature, hatred in a heart and a gun in a hand will always add up to murder.
The American Broadcasting Company brings you, in part transcribed, the adventures of Brad Runyon, the Fat Man, starring J. Scott Smart, an exciting and fast-moving criminologist who tips the scales at 237 pounds. Tonight's adventure, Order for Murder.
All right, then it goes into the story. What did you think of the music?
It fit with sort of like the time of it, I guess. And it was sort of half spooky, I guess.
Yeah, that kind of horn.
Yeah.
They had, yeah. Anything else stand out that you enjoyed or didn't enjoy?
Is
it a good intro, you think? Do you think you'd listen to more?
I'd listen to more, definitely.
It's unusual having it with watching him weigh himself. And then scale, and then the sense that he's a investigative detective.
Was it common practice to weigh yourself and then get your fortune?
Yeah, that's right, because he gets his... Or that's what the claim is, that... that's the setup. Like, he weighs himself and then his fortune comes. Maybe it was on a scale where the fortune appears after you weigh yourself. Yeah, I don't know if that was common or not. We have an SMS that's come through. Does that answer it for us?
I don't know. Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, read it.
Okay. Where can you find the episodes of the Fat Man Radio Show? I really want to get into this now. The music is awesome.
Oh, yeah, it is good, yeah. You can get to it from a couple of ways. The Internet Archive is a fantastic repository of public domain stuff, including The Fat Man and tons of other radio dramas. Surprisingly, there's tons of it on YouTube as well. So a lot of...
well, yeah, it'd be out of copyright.
Yeah, definitely the broadcast is. So yeah, you can search for it on YouTube. Certainly that's where I found a lot of the Fat Man shows I've been listening to go to sleep at night. Actually, with a lot of murder dreams coming up. So Internet Archive is a great repository. A great thing about Internet Archive is often you'll find that you can download some of that material as MP3s and put it on your phone as dial tones.
Oh, yeah.
For the Fat Man. But I'm glad you like the music, because what I'm going to do now is we're going to wrap up and I'm going to play my homage to the Fat Man.
Right.
So this morning I put together a Media Mothership introduction in the style of the Fat Man. It goes for like 4 minutes. So it's completely breaks the best good introduction practices of 10 seconds. But what I'll do is I'll play out with that. Mm-hmm. Thanks for listening to Media Mothership. I've been Dr. Craig.
I've been Lord Taylor. Yeah. I forgot which
pseudonym you are. And keep listening. We've got K-Pop Unlimited next hour. What's playing on K-Pop Unlimited?
Every song connects.
Oh, wow. So there'll be a bit of a story.
Yeah. And thanks to our texter as well.
Yeah, thanks very much I hope you enjoy the Fat Man series. Next week we'll be going into number 8 of the top 10 radio drama intros with a little bit of discussion.
Jorgensen.
See if you can grab the Australian episodes as well, because I'm curious to see if anyone can detect any Australiana from the Australian Fat Man.
It's like, welcome to New York, and then there's like a cockatoo in the background.
There's a magpie sound effect. The native birds active today. All right, so coming up now, we have the Media Mothership Fat Man intro.
Okay.
Don't let your stomach ruin your day. Listen to some refreshing Media Mothership and feel the difference.
There he goes, into that radio station. He's about to host the show. Showtime, Media Mothership. Who is it?
Dr. Craig and Lord Taylor. To most people, a radio show is a collection of sounds and words. But there's one program I know of where the hosts explore the power and influence of media on our perception of reality. Every week, they chat with creators, critics, and fans of movies, TV shows, video games, and more. In the first episode, for instance, you'll find the K-pop and cultural intermediaries interview. And in another audio adventure, you can inspect the Harry Potter or Sherlock Holmes radio dramas that are a unique creation of artificial intelligence. Don't miss these chatbot-generated radio dramas gone wrong.
That's the show Media Mothership, a fast-moving media analysis who tips the scales at £239. Brought to you by the Tasmanian Youth Broadcasters Incorporated, makers of Edge Radio and other fine media empires. When you overeat or eat too fast, you're looking for trouble with your digestion. That's no time to let your stomach ruin your day. Instead, try a better way, a gentle way. Listen to refreshing Media Mothership. Yes, when you're bothered by heartburn, nervous indigestion, or other common digestive disturbances, Media Mothership promptly helps to calm and quiet the upset. It settles and sweetens it. You feel the difference. Next time you eat too much or too fast, you can do something for that uneasy, uncomfortable feeling. Try refreshing Media Mothership. That's right, when your stomach's upset, don't add to the upset. Take soothing Media Mothership and feel good again. And now, from Hobart, Tasmania, Media Mothership, hosted by Dr. Craig and joined by Lord Taylor.
You're listening to Edge Radio 99.9.